Shout out to Money Brown, man. Errol Spence Jr. My boy Money Brown, he get a lot of money, that's why I call him Money Brown.
What's good, Money Brown TV? What up, what up?
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Money Brown TV. Thank you so much for everything.
Hey, this is Ryan Garcia here. Shout out to Money Brown TV and keep punching, baby.
This is Steven Espinosa from Showtime Sports. Shout out to Money Brown TV. What's up, Brian Custer from Showtime Championship Boxing. I gotta give a big shout out to Money Brown TV.
Give a shout out to Money Brown TV from the punchline.
Hey, yeah, Money Brown, we on the way up, baby. Yeah, I told you we're coming up, baby. Look at us now.
Yo, what's going on after the fight? What is your boy Money back with another one, fam? And this one here is on two big dogs in this fight game. We have Keith, one-time Thurman. You better not duck me, son. One of the most highly decorated fighters in the sport, the former unified welterweight world champion. Then we have Errol the True Spence Jr., the former WBC, IBF, and Super WA unified welterweight world champ. Errol was a pound-for-pound fighter on everybody's pound-for-pound list. One of the hottest young stars in the game. Still one of the big names, notoriety in the game right now because he's still in the game and didn't retire. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, you know, it's chit-chat, a whole lot of talking going around on if Errol Spence, you know, should face Keith, one-time Thurman right now, since both of them dudes are at where they at in their career, right? We know Errol been out since 2003 after losing to Turnbull Crawford. You know, he's healed up, enjoying the fruits of his labor, enjoying his family grow, watching them do their big one in sports and soccer and gymnastics and things of that nature, watching his young son grow up, you know, doing his life, living his life on his farm. You know, was supposed to come back against Sebastian Fedora. That didn't take place. So, you know, people still wonder, would he go get a new trainer? Would he step foot back in the ring? And if he do step foot back in the ring, who would he take on? How long would he be in the game? And should he even step a foot back in the ring after being out so long? Because a lot of people think that his heart is out of. You understand what I'm saying? So if EJ was to come back into the sport of boxing, you know, people looking at good opponents for him. He wanted to be world champion at 154. And we know Keith Thurman out there just had him a fight, you know, looking spectacular with the big knockout, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people saying Errol Spence and Keith Thurman should, you know, revisit their situation, you know what I mean? Now, when it come to Keith one time, you better not duck me, son. You know, him and Errol Spence has their history, right? I always wanted to see Errol Spence and Keith Thurman back in the days. Both of them was two of the hottest names over on the PBC side. You know, they was destined to face each other. Both of them was world champions. But Keith, you know, he kept catching injuries, and then when he come back, he'll do a tune-up, or, you know, he'll take on somebody like a Manny Pacquiao, which nobody has turned out Manny Pacquiao, so I can't fault him for that. But, you know, every time he's come back from an injury, he's doing a tune-up and saying, this is the get-back year, right? He always had a get-back year when it came to Errol Spence because he felt like he wasn't in the proper shape or the proper position to fight, you know, Errol. But then he'll turn around, fight me, Conor. Fight me, right? He wanted to fight a Conor McGregor and things of that nature, where people felt like he was really ducking Errol Spence and didn't want that smoke because, you know, he was vulnerable to the body. And we all know Errol Spence was a devastating body puncher. And, you know, Keith kind of felt like he probably could have got put down, but nonetheless, he wanted Errol Spence to get some wear and tear on him because Errol Spence was on a fucking tearing spree. You understand what I'm saying? He was on a terror. Whipping motherfuckers' ass, knocking motherfuckers out, leaving people unconscious and things of that nature. And Keith Thurman was like, I don't want none of that, young bull. After he's been rumored to fuck Floyd Mayweather up, knock Adrian Brown out on his feet in the sparring session, then what he did to Kell Brook, what he did to Lamont Peterson, you know what I'm saying? The things he was doing, what he did to the former 40-pound champion, Chris Algieri, what he did to Elena Bundu. It's like, man, we ain't rocking with Errol Spence. We're going to let that young man go do his thing, and I'll see him later on down the line. You understand what I'm saying? Later on down the line. But, you know, Errol Spence, he kept that in his head to where when he became the big dog, he came on top because Keith Thurman was on top of Errol Spence. He was the unified champion, had the big names, and, you know, Errol was trying to get that spot. And Keith wasn't trying to let it go. So when Errol became the big dog, you know, Errol told Keith Thurman, no, Mr. Postman. Remember, you wouldn't give me the opportunity? Now that I'm up, and you went out there, you took your L and lost to Manny Pacquiao and things like that. Now you got to get back. Now you want to face me because now you're trying to get back in your number one spot. You know what I'm saying? Scheme, plot. They felt like Keith was scheming and like, shit, I need a big-time fight. So now it's time for me to fight Errol Spence. I'm ready for Errol. Come see me, boy. You ducking me, boy. You did all my leftovers, boy. I beat this guy first, boy. I beat that guy first, boy. You got my belt, boy. I didn't lose that belt to you, boy. I didn't, Keith Thurman got on that bullshit. And Errol like, okay, you trying to let your nuts drop on me? You trying to let your nuts drop on me? Oh, you'll never get a scrap. And Errol Spence put it in his head that he'll never face Keith Thurman, you know what I'm saying, after Keith Thurman turned him down X amount of times, even though Al Haymon wanted that fight so bad because he felt like it was a good fight, not just for both, but for PBC. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about Al Haymon, he's a strategizer. He is a smart, intelligent man, and he knows, what's up next and what things that can pop. So Al felt like Errol and Keith should have been getting it on, but Errol felt different. And, he went against the Godfather wishes and said, nope, I'm never facing Keith Thurman. I'll go face somebody else before I face him, which lead him to fight Dennis Ugas, to lead him to go to the Turnbull Crawford fight, wait 16 months out the ring, and, we all know what happened in the Turnbull Crawford fight. But now that Errol Spence been out the ring for almost 2 years and some change, Keith Thurman came back after being out the ring for a while. I think he was fighting at 160 pounds. If I'm not, y'all can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think it was at 160. And a lot of people saying that Errol and Keith Thurman should get it on now because, Errol Spence don't really know, how long he got left in the game. Keith Thurman most definitely don't know how long he got left in the game, but, he had a spectacular win. And now it's like it's perfect timing for both of them to go out there and face each other. And I kind of agree. You know what I'm saying? I kind of agree. I feel like Errol should come back and get a tune-up first, right? I know y'all always say he don't want to face no tune-ups. He wants just big fights. But I think he should come back and get a tune-up first, and then him and Keith Thurman should get it on, bro. I feel like that'd be a hell of a fight at this time. I feel like it's still a notable name, right? Y'all both got y'all history with one another. Keith Thurman, you see he looked good, so his injuries healed up. He ain't got nothing going on that's terrible. Errol been out for a while now till his injury should have healed up. It's just going to be mentally with him. And a lot of people waiting to see, like, how do he look on his first fight back, right? And, they can make some good money, bro. They can make some damn good money, bro. But it's definitely going to be up to Errol Spence and what he want to do as usual. You know what I'm saying? He's still a big name. He still hold the cards in his favor. And like I said, he only got one loss, and that's the Turnbull Crawford. So now, with both of them needing an opponent, will Errol Spence, say, you know what? Fuck it. I'll take on Keith Thurman ass and get him out the way, put him on my resume as a good name on my resume. Then after that, right, if you go out there and have a good performance, if you go out there and do what you got to do against a Keith Thurman, then you can look at, and then like with that, it's still going to come down to what weight division they go fight at, which, I think Keith can still make 150 something if he just fought at 160. Errol been out the ring for a while, so he's up there on weight. He's not overweighted, like out of shape type of weight, but he's definitely not fighting at 147 no more, so he can make a good weight, and they can make that happen at a catch weight. Like I said, if Errol Spence is victorious, then you can go out there and claim, you want to see somebody at 154, for one of them world titles. You feel me? And if that don't go too well, then you can go ahead and retire from the sport and say, I did everything I had to do. And, to me, enjoy the rest of your life raising your kids and see if you get into the Hall of Fame, because I think he's a Hall of Famer, unlike what Turnbull Crawford talking about, and a lot of other fans, which I know a lot of fans going to be saying a lot of this and a lot of that, you feel me? So we could just see how that play out. But Errol Spence and Keith one-time Thurman is most definitely one hell of a fight right now that a lot of people will enjoy if they was to get it on. And I think Errol should think about making that fight happen, bro. I really do think he should think about making that fight happen, not just for himself, but for the fans. And like I say, it's a notable fight that can put him back on the map if you go out there, and look damn good. So we'll see how that play out in the future. See what Errol Spence want to do, if he's returned from the sport or if he want to stick around, bro. But until then, I wish EJ nothing but the best. Wish Keith Thurman nothing but the best. And we'll see how these things play out in the future. Straight like that, and money be on to the Nizex.